Okay, go back in session here, coming back from executive session at 11:56. And there is a motion on the floor, correct? So the motion is to approve the recommendation of the medical review board for JL. All those in favor?
Is there a second?
Second.
It was
Oh, was it? A third.
Okay. Is there a second recorded?
There was a second recorded.
Okay, thank you. So all those in favor of approving the recommendation of the medical review board, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed with a nay. Not seeing any, so the ayes have it. And the recommendation is approved. That brings us to the staff update. Tim?
And Bill, if you wouldn't mind putting the Justin stack up on the screen. The couple things we wanted to cover briefly are just, latest from the legislature and more importantly, a quick 5-minute overview of contracts generally, because I think the theme of today was meeting some of our vendors. And so Justin very helpfully took our internal tracking document and kind of made it appropriate for an outward facing document. So something that we're going to want to keep in front of the board, because we do have a lot of vendors, and it's helpful just to have, instead of seeing these contracts in an ad hoc way, kind of getting the bigger picture. Really not much of an update from the legislature right now for specifically VSERS matters. Our ADEC is in the budget for fiscal 26. Everything to my knowledge, I know Commissioner Gresham's more attuned to everything than I am, but everything to my knowledge is moving forward on that. The issue that this board has kind of kept an eye on throughout is on the fiscal 25 closeout, and what we talk about is the waterfall language. My understanding from the Senate bill, when the Senate passed their version of the budget, is they really kind of followed last year's paradigm, where they kept the possibility of waterfall monies in the budget. They made a list of contingent appropriations. So that is to say, if we have extra funds, the first $5 million goes to X, the next $45 million goes to Y. And then if those contingent appropriations are fully funded, anything afterwards waterfalls to, among other places, the pension system. Last I heard, that construct is still in place in the conference committee. We've actually had to approach the conference committee because we had some concerns about how federal grants are tracking on the teacher side to add potential other contingent appropriations. But my understanding, and again, this is all moving as we speak, is that the waterfall construct is still at play. If Deputy Treasurer Boyles, Commissioner Gresham have any further insight, I'm happy to defer. So that was my update there, and I'll turn it over to Justin for because I wanted him to be last before lunch.
I can hear the Castle Gates are about to storm with food, so I will keep it brief. But I think we tend to show contracts to you folks, and it's almost like touching the elephant blindfolded. And so I think the thought was wanting to start providing, probably on this sort of quarterly time frame, an overview, so you actually see all the pieces, how they go together, give you a sense of what's coming up in terms of, show you just in general the contracts that we all utilize to aid the system overall. And so I think that's the focus here, of trying to give that to you. We're going to keep giving this to you, and it just sort of provides a bit of an idea. So you're taking that blindfold off, you see it's an elephant, so now you understand, you were just touching the tail before. Bill, could you, hopefully the tail. And so just to zoom out for folks not entirely familiar, sorry, Gavin, familiar with contracting, but it's very rigorous. The Bureau of BGS, Building and General Services, puts out what's known as Bulletin 3.5. Contracts, everything from, depending on how you enter a contract or how you seek a contractor through simplified bid or sole source or just an RFP, it's all very sort of stringent in terms of the process and the terms. And then so by the time you get a contract, we've already engaged with the Attorney General's office, which has to sign off, Agency of Digital Services for those contracts that involve some amount of state data or something unique like our IT LRS, our platform, our pension gold, for legal sufficiency. Because the last thing we would want to do is bring something to you folks and then find out that, oh, actually, this will never get approved because it's not something that we can all sign off on. There's sort of a very stringent system here to ensure, standard conditions, standard terms, legal sufficiency, all those pieces. So just wanted to give that overview because sometimes I think you may see an attachment C or something, but just give you an idea of this is all a very orchestrated dance for these contracts. Thank you, Bill. And on that, you will see that there are there's different schedules for different kinds of contracts. I just want to highlight that. You'll see the notation in our next slide. Like LRS, like Empower, some of these much larger contracts that tend to involve a great deal of stability, or instability if changed. And so there is an exemption. We have to file it with the fifth floor with the Agency of Administration, a contract waiver plan, we call it, that would allow us to deviate from the normal 5 years you're allowed to contract. This is, we have a special plan for certain kind of contracts, just with the overall stability. It doesn't prevent you from ending a contract and, terminating our normal conditions that are in the contract. Doesn't prevent you from going out to RFP at the end of a term. It just provides you flexibility and recognition that certain contracts are really disruptive to change, to onboard folks, and then to, to exit and then enter a new contract. So just wanted to highlight that not all contracts are equal in terms of either length or content. Thank you, Bill. These are the contracts right now that in one way or another are touching VSERS. And so just wanted to give sort of, and this is what you'll see going forward, is just trying to give the snapshot with some relevant information about what are the contracts, where are they, and you'll see, we don't need to go to it now, but one last slide, and we're going to try and preview the sort of 3 to 6 months. You folks just have an understanding of what contracts are coming up, some of which require your sign off, some may not. Just letting you know, getting into the schedule so things aren't just a surprise. In the past, for some of the larger ones, we've tried to surface them, like with Empower. I think we came in because it was so convoluted. And so here, I think we're going to not only do that in terms of substance, but also keep trying to provide this overview so you understand how they all fit together. When we say, oh, by the way, going out to RFP, you'll be able to understand, oh yeah, well, that's why. It's because it fits into here. And so this is just overall normal contracts. By normal, I mean not contract waiver plan. You have 5 years under Bulletin 3.5. It just got redone last October substantially. And so it changes. It used to be a very 2-year, 1 year extension. So there's flexibility. And so, but this is the general overview of them. You see that we have, at any one time, and this is through all departments and all divisions of the Treasurer's Office, we have contracts coming up at all, either fiscal year, contract year. Sometimes they're odd, like the 731. But so nothing is uniform. It'll never be all contracts. And thankfully, we don't have them all one day. Otherwise, I'd be in a lot of trouble. And so there is this sort of rolling nature to all of this work. So then if you show the last slide, Bill, this is just showing, just going to keep showing this preview of how this all works and giving folks an idea of what's going on. And when things show up, or we talk about them, there's just a understanding and it's more of a level set. It's not just a surprise and saying, how's this affect us? So
what is Reinhardt?
Reinhardt's outside counsel that is actually, we just got that extension that is actually contracted through the retirement office, but they provide all sorts of IRS compliance questions, all sorts of questions that impact the system that we brought on 2 years ago, because I think there was, especially when you get to federal tax compliance issues and some of these detailed benefit issues, usually involving IRS, things like that, that I think we felt that there was a need to have that resource in the office just to stay out of trouble.
They're tax attorneys? Is it a tax?
Yeah, they have, it's sort of a pension and they have a tax department that we've had to utilize a few times.
Is that different? Was that I didn't see Hickok Boardman on there. Is this a replacement for that?
Hickok and Boardman touches VSERS, but because
okay.
you folks handle the health insurance for our state retirees, DHR has the relationship with the insurance.
But I like that you have the Brian Hurt. That's interesting. So we
We
might be
used
able
to
to.
use we have a bond counsel.
Mhm.
And under that contract, we had the ability to use that contract to have some ad hoc services if we needed something in the past. Their name escapes me, whatever it is.
They just renamed themselves Peppermint Trout,
Okay.
Trout Peppermint.
Okay.
It's a big merger. I keep saying Pepper Trout, and I know it's not that, but it's some combination of those words.
It's
now.
delicious.
Good, yeah.
But it made sense for us to have a dedicated counsel for this purpose. And so
Yeah, no, that's great. That's good. I may be in touch.
Yeah, this is really helpful to sort of get that 30,000-foot view of everything. All the folks we're contracting with, it's tough to get your hands around the elephant all at one time. So, thank you for putting this together. Yeah, very helpful.
Just take 2 seconds to say thank you to Justin for being the conductor of this orchestra of contracts. 'Cause there are a lot, and he does a great job. And yeah, it's not not always easy. It's a lot to keep track of. So much appreciated.
Any additional comments on this piece? Not seeing any. It looks like we're at that point in the agenda where we decide if there's anything else, or maybe someone wants to make a different motion. So
before anyone does that, I just want to say I hope folks will stay and have some lunch. We're going to have the teachers board members coming in ahead of time, so talk, and some of the vendors too. So very open and flexible.
I move to adjourn.
so the motion is on the floor. It's not debatable. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed with an nay? The ayes have it.
All right.
Thank you all. With that, the May meeting is adjourned at 12:08.